Yeah.
This is Phanganist.com, Copenhagen's online magazine, and today I'm joined by two lovely women who are part of Island Aid, which is something that's been set up. So this is Isabelle and Tyler, and tell people what you usually do on the island.
We're a group of 7 women and a dad, and we're business owners, Pilates teachers, professionals, moms, and we've actually used all of these skills to kind of bring Island Aid to life, actually. It's been great. We've been able to start fundraising and project management, and actually Isa here, who's got a lot of humanitarian experience, which you might want to talk about in terms of how it's influenced the project.
Yeah, so that's my sort of normal day job. Is I work in the humanitarian sector, so when there's big emergencies like earthquakes or tsunamis, and I specialised in working with mums and babies in nutrition. So I work from the island and then I travel a little bit, and then I'm also a doula and a breastfeeding counsellor on the side. So when this all kicked off, I felt like, well, it's time to do something at home as well.
Yeah. So just briefly, you'll explain it better than me. It's so the kind of corona pandemic really hit a lot of communities on the island, as we know and we've covered, and the food got dealt with very nicely by the community, but you guys are targeting things like hygiene, babies, mums need support, and elderly. Can you tell us a bit more specifically who you're helping?
Yeah, sure. So, you know, as you say, the impact's been so hard on places like Copenhagen that are so dependent on tourism, and there's already been such a wonderful community response with initiatives doing such great work, stepping up for food. So we were looking at like, well, what are the gaps in support for people? And one of the things that came to mind is hygiene. And I know it's not something that you'll instantly think of. And, you know, to be honest, if I only had 50 baht in my pocket, I'd buy food, right? Not a bar of soap. So we thought, well, how can we help with this? Because we know from, you know, by now everybody knows the power of hand washing, I think, after the whole corona virus. But we really do know, like, things like the basic simple act of washing your hands well with soap and water can really stop the spread of not only corona but also other infectious diseases like diarrhea, and especially for the little ones, you know, like newborns. It's so important that they're in a safe and hygienic environment. Of all the kind of deaths that happen among children under 5, about 50% of those actually happen in the first month of life. And lots of those can actually be prevented just by good hygiene and also good breastfeeding practices. So that's also something we want to promote.
That's nice.
And on top of that, you know, we complement the food distributions with that because food is one part of nutrition, but about 50% of malnutrition in children under 5 actually comes from poor sanitation and lack of safe water and poor hygiene. And, you know, it just makes us all feel a little bit better when we're in a clean home, right? So in terms of dignity and well-being, and also just wanting to take that cost away from people, so give them a bit of financial flexibility in case they want to, you know, need to pay for healthcare or rent or something like that.
I remember when this began, the island's been quite dry. We've had a bit of a water shortage, and we had no water at our house, and it was sort of conflicting. I don't know if any of the communities had it as well, and you're encouraged to keep clean, but you can't because you have no water. You know, I don't know if anyone also was affected by that as well. So how did this project begin? What was one of the
I think
points?
the idea was born from our friend Sophie, who recognized that her neighbors were really in need. So she called on us, a group of girls, to see if we all wanted to pitch in and help them out, and of course we said yes. So we started to put these kits together, and as we did so, we recognized that probably more than just Sophie's neighbors could really benefit from what we were doing. So we started to evolve the idea a little bit more, and we got more and more friends involved to help us with various aspects of the project, and here we are now as Island Aid.
And what's in the kits?
So at the moment it's your basic household supplies. So there's soap, washing up liquid, laundry detergent, a cleaning sponge,
toothpaste, stuff like that.
And also for women, menstrual hygiene products.
Yes,
But it's really still evolving. Like these were the initial kits. And we also want to do more than just hygiene, but we see it as an entry point instead of showing up to people's homes empty-handed, using it as a starting point for discussion. So when we distribute the kit, we do ask for feedback, what's useful, what's not useful, what's missing. So we're doing that at the moment. We're getting really lots of helpful feedback. Some stuff we hadn't thought about, like lots of mums with babies are asking for mosquito nets for their babies. So we're going into dengue season, right? So it's just the start, and we change based on community feedback and what they tell us.
Is there, in particular in like say the Burmese communities, would pregnant women who are usually on Koh Phangan, would they usually go back to Myanmar to have their babies? Or if they live and work here, do they generally have their babies here without the pandemic?
I'm not 100% sure actually. I suppose lots of them really are with families here and established families. So I think they stay here, but that's a good question that we'll have to ask them.
I know have different friends who are from Myanmar with different situations. I just wondered if there was a typical one. And is there usually good sort of health and hygiene support for them from maybe their jobs which they don't have, or is it really just that they've lost their income so that they're struggling to do what they usually would?
Well, some people work, for example, in a hotel, which might then actually provide them with accommodation, provide them with some supplies, maybe provide them with food. So they've not only lost their income, but maybe also where they were living before. And we've been visiting a couple of places where people are really living with a lot of people in one room.
More than they usually would, right? Okay. And then it's hard to stay clean.
Exactly, harder and harder.
Exactly.
So how are you finding these people?
So we're engaging with community leaders to help us identify specific people that are the most in need, because we really want to take a targeted approach and really reach the specific people that need our help the most. So mainly through people that we know in our own communities, and also community leaders. And we'd actually ask that more community leaders will engage with us over the coming weeks and months to help us identify more and more people in need.
Are these like the heads of the Tessa bands and this kind of thing?
Like today someone's meeting with the Puyai Ban in Chalaklam. So they know their communities, and as Tyler said, because we're really targeting, so we specifically, we have two criteria. One is financial hardship. So, you've got little to no income, and you're really struggling to afford like the essential products and services that we all need to live and survive, right? And the other one that we base it on is physiological vulnerability. So, like elderly people or people with disabilities, they have special needs. They might struggle to get to the distributions. And then also pregnant women and with young babies. So kind of we focus on the first 1,000 days of life. So from conception to a child's second birthday, we know it's a time of such huge potential, but also great vulnerability. And if you don't get the best start in life, it really can have lifelong impact. And like we know that if children are stunted, so that means when they're too short for their height, by the time they have their second birthday, the effects are largely irreversible, actually. And that's why it's so important that we really act now. There's like a critical window to act. So that's why we'd love to help everyone, of course, but that's why we're kind of prioritizing those that we know are really most vulnerable.
Nice, very good. And how can people help you?
Okay, so I think it's kind of a dual answer. Of course, the first one is to please donate. For example, this week we're doing a baby clothes drive, so you can get in touch with us via our Facebook page, which is Island Aid Koh Phangan. And we also have a fundraising platform, which is island-aid.raise.com. And we've been taking donations for a few weeks now, and actually there's a special shout out to Bay residents who's recently given us a really generous donation, and we think it's a great example of just how involved successful local businesses have been in making these kinds of initiatives happen. And it's so appreciated. So aside from donating, we really encourage people to get involved. We need volunteers to help us pack our kits, and we need Thai and Myanmar volunteers to help us distribute the kits and engage with local community members and recipients to give us feedback on what we're doing. We would also encourage local community leaders to get in touch and chat with us and help us target specific households that are really in need.
And we were saying that it's just a great way in this kind of sad time that hopefully we'll come out of it. All these communities will know each other better. The women will, know us Western women better, and bring everyone together.
Engaging with Thai and Myanmar and people from all over the world. We're all here, and we all love the island for the same magical reasons.
Yeah, absolutely.
Come together.
Yeah, every single person that lives here and works here makes it special in some way. And, so, for the people that we're helping now, maybe they, served us food once, or had a dance on the dance floor with us, or even just smiled and brightened our way in that way. So, it's just our way of saying thank you and our turn to kind of give back that now. We really want this to be also a project that people feel is also their project. So if anyone has feedback, what can we do better? How can we improve? What do you need? What do you not need? Like, we're really here to listen and to do this together and to overcome this together and come out stronger and more united.
Yeah, it's great. Really nice work. Thank you guys. And thank you to the other women and the dad as well.
Absolutely.
Who can join us.
No, it's a great team. We're very happy to be working on this together.
It's
been inspiring.
Very nice. Thank you guys.
Thanks for having us.
Thanks. Bye.